70 characters to use on other KSAs by revising it. And again, remember, you can combine the KSAs with examples that address both. So, for example, if another qualification for the position says something about ability to communicate and work collaboratively with a team, you could address that qualification number here and then add in additional information about how you collaboratively work with a team and utilize your knowledge of plumbing and mechanics. So some tips and reminders for your eCareer submissions. Review the vacancy announcement, even if you've applied for the same position in the past. Sometimes the KSAs will be updated, or they might be in a different order for some reason, or they could add a special KSA. So you want to ensure that you are addressing everything on the requirements. You want to use specific examples to demonstrate that you have the qualifications for the position and experience related to each KSA. If additional documentation such as a transcript is required, you would go to Add Attachment, browse for the file that you want to upload. PDFs are best. And then click Open to upload, enter the name of the document, and then save. But you're going to only do that if it is asked for in the vacancy announcement. Again, according to our handbook EL 312, Employment and Placement, you are not to add any any documentation unless it's asked for in the job announcement. You are to address those requirements solely within your application. And don't forget, updating your summary for each position so that you don't submit a summary that's previously used. Like I said, remember, if I'm applying to a recruiter position, I want to make sure I'm addressing that. If I apply to a benefits position, I want to make sure I am addressing that. So every job is going to be at least slightly different and have slightly different KSAs or requirements. So you must make sure that you're updating that summary of accomplishments to address those KSAs for each position to which you apply.
I want to take a nap, and I can't even lay down.
As I mentioned previously, make sure you're tailoring that work to bring out the knowledge, skills, and abilities for the position that you're applying to, and make sure you're addressing each one of those job requirements. You don't have to use the STAR method. Situation, task, action, result, not required. Make your narratives clear and concise. Remember, you got those 6,000 characters. Use those action verbs such as manage, collaborate, improve, direct, deliver, establish. If you're going to do this in Word, make sure, like I said, that is a word processing program. Some of those characters in eCareer might change. You can also do that character count in Word. That will help you as well. If you use something higher than Word 97 to 2003, though, please keep in mind that eCareer will not accept that. So you want to make sure that you are using the Word 97 to 2003 as the version that you are trying to place into eCareer. And again, make sure that you have somebody proofread your application so that they will catch any of those errors that you might miss. And spell check might miss something. If you wanted to say for, F-O-R, and you typed F-R-O, well, the phrase to and fro is still a word, so spell check won't pick up F-R-O. So have somebody who doesn't know what it's supposed to say look at it so they can catch little errors like that. Some of the frequently asked questions that we get: what are KSAs and what exactly are they looking for? So as we mentioned earlier, those are the requirements for the position. We call them qualifications or requirements. They come after the job duties on the vacancy announcement. So you don't want to address those job duties. The KSAs, the knowledge, skills, and abilities, are the qualifications or requirements on the job announcement. We showed some examples of the KSAs here in the the deck a few minutes ago. So hopefully you were able to take some pictures of those. 6,000 words is not enough to demonstrate KSAs. How do I make sure to address each KSA sufficiently enough to get an interview? So you want to make sure that you're providing enough information in your KSAs to, in your summary of accomplishments, to demonstrate that KSA. But keep in mind that you can also demonstrate that KSA through your special skills or associations, your work experience, the training that you've taken, and your education sections. Remember, they've got additional character limits on those. So you've got 1,500 to 2,000 characters for each one of those sections. And make sure you utilize those if you need additional space to address those KSAs. What is the best way to answer the KSAs? Is the STAR model required? The STAR model is not required. Make sure that you are keeping in mind those 4 whats that we discussed earlier. And now, Melissa, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Awesome, Tina. Thank you so much for enhancing our understanding of writing those amazing KSAs and interpreting what those job positions are and effectively navigating your career. A lot of information. Remember that this is being recorded and we will share this with you after the webinar. So if you've missed any of the amazing information you've already got, you're going to get this after. So don't worry, and make sure your questions are going in that question and answer box. All right, so without further ado, I do want to now turn it over to our amazing Kaniska Velasquez, who is our Manager of University Relations, who's going to talk to you about interview tips for that supervisor position. Kaniska?
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Melissa. My name is Kaniska Velasquez, just as she said, and I'm the Manager of University Relations. I've been with the Postal Service since 2014, so I'm super excited because this is my 10-year anniversary. I started in my hometown of El Paso as a PSC, then an admin, then I went to DC for a promotional opportunity in social media in 2017 and landed in HR in 2018. So in my current role as the Manager of University Relations, my team and I recruit college students and recent grads for upcoming external program opportunities nationwide. So for sake of time, of course, let's get started. So you only have one chance to make a great first impression. So you'll want to do the best in preparing for your interview in advance. Your one job is to articulate to a selecting official that you have those skills, knowledge, and experience for the job. It is best practice to do some research into the work environment for the role that you're applying to. Like, what is the culture of the unit? Where is this vacancy located? Please consider doing some research beforehand by possibly pulling some reports or data, or maybe even a site tour to the office location that you are seeking. Mental prep. So experts recommend that you visualize in your mind how the interview will go. A little edginess before an interview is considered positive and helpful because it helps you stay alert and energized. Practice deep breathing or repeating tranquil words like calm. These are popular methods people use to get themselves ready to handle any nervousness before an interview. Being prepared is a great way to increase your confidence and feelings of being prepared. Readiness and understanding the job requirements beforehand and thinking about your past experiences that address the job KSAs can indeed also help you feel more calm. So why are you interested in this position? Question. Oh boy, don't be scared. This question gives you an opportunity to set the tone of the job interview. This question is where you can give concise but enthusiastic responses that summarize how you can make a great fit for the job opportunity. A popular formula for your response is by addressing something of your past, present, and future. First, you want to mention your present. Mention your current role, its scope, and possibly a recent accomplishment. When you mention the past, you want to elaborate on a past experience that is relevant to the job that you're applying to. Future, what do you want to do next? Why are you interested in this role? And why do you feel this role is for you? So exude confidence because this is your time to shine. So, common interview questions. You can also begin to think about questions you might hear from the selecting official and practice answering them ahead of time. You can use the time before the interview to practice so you are more comfortable answering these types of questions. Try to review your application before entering the interview. This will help refresh your mind of some of the things that you have already conveyed or captured on paper that describes yourself and the accomplishments. At the Postal Service, we tend to ask questions to address how the candidate meets each requirement of the job posting they are interviewing for. So be sure you are very familiar with the requirements and any information on your knowledge, skills, and abilities that you may have submitted previously. When you have a question like those reflected on the slide, feel free to take a moment to gather your thoughts so that you can better answer the question. Describe the situation, the task, maybe the action that you took, and then the results that were accomplished because of such. Here is an example question. Tell me about a time when you had to deal with an angry customer. A great example would be, well, I once had a customer who was waiting for a package and the tracking information had not updated for several days on USPS.com. Then explain some of the tasks and actions you took to remedy the situation. And now, because of that wonderful action you took, explain the phenomenal result that occurred. Another sample question might be, imagine you notice a safety hazard in your unit. How would you respond? Think of some of the framework we have given in today to showcase those knowledge, skills, and abilities. Quickly think of a positive situation or problem and describe the actions you took or would take for a favorable outcome. Opportunity to ask questions. Interviews are an appropriate time to ask for clarity. If there is any requirement of the job that you are not quite sure about, just ask it during the interview. Don't be afraid to ask about the process or maybe the next step or when a decision might be made. Remember, one of the main goals of the interview is for you to learn more about the role and for the interviewer to learn more about you, as well as, of course, your knowledge, skills, and abilities. Here are a few relevant questions that you might want to consider asking the selecting official. Can you describe what a typical day looks like in the role? What are the biggest challenges in this particular job? How much work is done individually versus like a team collaboration? When do you plan to make a decision? All these questions are relevant to understanding the job, the work environment, and conveys your continued interest in the role. Practicing your answers. What ways can you practice for an interview? Well, consider doing a mock interview with a trusted friend or colleague, or practice in front of a mirror, or recording your mock interview on a Zoom or video so you can be more cognizant of the visual aspects like your facial expressions and maintaining eye contact. Mock interviews can also help you feel more confident, and practicing can help you feel more comfortable talking about yourself. So don't be shy. The employer does not know you. And so it's up to you to sell and showcase, again, those knowledge, skills, and abilities. So some helpful tips are saying your answers out loud as opposed to just writing them down. This helps you to build and develop muscle memory. Have your answers ready by practicing them. Common questions you should have on lock might be, tell me why you're interested in this job opportunity, and why do you think you would be a good fit for this role? You do not need to completely memorize your answers, but you do need to have a clear idea of what you're going to say. So practice describing examples that demonstrate how you might meet those qualifications on the job description. Be open to other questions as well, and really know what you can or intend to offer the department should you land that role. The right attire. So what you wear on your interview is a crucial part of how you prepare. It's an important part of making a good first impression. When you look your best, you feel your best, and that added confidence will help you flourish and crush it when answering questions from the interviewer. After you choose your outfit, make sure it's cleaned, pressed, not missing any buttons, and good to go. Prepare for the unexpected. You may not have an opportunity to change from like your postal uniform. So make sure that it's clean and in good condition. By preparing early, you can ensure that your interview wear is clean, fresh, stain-free, etc. Also, you will avoid any unnecessary stress by just preparing early. The interview. So, remember the interview is merely a conversation, not an interrogation. The purpose of a job interview is to figure out if both parties will benefit from the hire. The interview is a conversation in which you and the employer exchange information. Your objective is, of course, to get a job offer, and the employer's objective is to find out the following: what you have to offer, again, those skills, abilities, basic knowledge, and who you are in the sense of your personality, character, and interest. The purpose of an interview. So look at the interview as a two-way conversation. Again, those two main goals are of the selecting official to gather information about the applicant's KSAs related to the job, and for the applicant to obtain information about the job. Remember, you have these objectives: to sell yourself, ensure the selecting official understands your knowledge, skills, and abilities to perform that work. To evaluate the position, it is your opportunity to understand the work, the day-to-day activities, and project opportunities, and to evaluate the business unit or team. You really want to understand or try to understand the team dynamics and whether the work is highly collaborative or is it primarily independent. During your job interview, you want to remember, your interview starts from the moment that you walk in or log in. Arrive early, but no more than 15 minutes. Turn off your phone and maintain professionalism. So, as I mentioned earlier, I stated that the interview begins the moment you walk in or even log in, right? But mostly walk in, we'll stay right there. However, it could start a bit earlier. So let me explain. An old boss of mine told me a story that of course still resonates with me about a particular interview she was about to conduct. As she was waiting for the applicant to arrive, she was gazing out of her office window, which was on a high floor overlooking the parking lot. And all of a sudden, she sees someone kind of peel into the parking lot a little haphazardly. They park, they get out of their vehicle running, they drop their briefcase or backpack or something like that, and all these papers spill across the parking lot. She watches that person just grab all these papers and stuff them back in their bag. And then she loses sight of them because I guess they went into the building. And all of a sudden, into her office comes that same person from the parking lot who is now awaiting to be interviewed. Wow. So, although I do not know exactly what happened, I do know that the interviewer might have been a bit concerned about that person's maybe soft skills, such as time management, punctuality, or possibly even communication skills. Oh, because the other part was that when that person got into the building, she later heard, my old boss, that person was rude to the admin. So that's why I even said, maybe even the communication skills. So just something to think about. Always, always display your best self. It is also important to be cognizant of what you do, what you say, how you say it, and how you behave it in front of the interviewer. Be specific when communicating the value that you bring to the team. Share stories that demonstrate your successes. When talking about a project you completed, include an exclamation of what the impact it had. The selecting official is measuring your job-related qualifications to determine a good fit for the job. So remember to be honest, never embellish your past accomplishments, or even claim a skill that you do not actually have. Body language. Body language in a job interview gives the interviewer a great deal of information that is not conveyed by the spoken word alone. Your true thoughts and attitude can be reflected in your body language. It reveals whether the candidate is confident, goal-oriented, and focused, or indeed whether the candidate might be bored, insecure, or even nervous. So remember, body language is important. As you talk, physically demonstrate what you are trying to convey. What might you be conveying when you smile, if you are just slouching, crossed your arms, etc. Well, while it is good to be aware of any body language concerns, the best way to portray good body language is to approach the interview with a positive attitude. The more positive you feel about the interview and your abilities, the more likely this will be reflected in your body language. You will naturally relax and smile more, thus making you appear more confident. Simple and frequent hand gestures help emphasize what you are trying to say. Avoid pointing or crossing your arms because these gestures can be seen as negative. Be responsive. Nonverbal cues indicate that you are listening to the interview when they are speaking, such as nodding, maybe smiling, or even leaning forward. Telephone and video interviews. In the event you have a telephone or video interview, here are some tips. Confirm the scheduled time, even the time zone, and phone number that the interviewer will be calling you at. Prepare for a telephone or video interview the same as you would prepare for a face-to-face interview. Like, dress appropriately and professionally. It helps to exude that confidence. Review in advance the job posting, the job duties and responsibilities, and especially those job requirements. Reserve a location where you will not be interrupted. Use headphones to mitigate any background noise. Smile as you talk, and use active listening and give your undivided attention. Some tips specific to the video or Zoom interviews. You want to test that technology or internet the day before the interview? Take the option of using a phone to dial in just in case your video freezes. Dress on your Zoom interviews the same as you would, again, for that face-to-face interview. Look directly into the camera. Be aware of those nonverbal behaviors. If you are the type that looks down to take notes while the interview is talking, convey that. Should you be the type that's taking notes on another monitor screen while the selecting official is talking, please convey that too, beforehand, so it does not appear rude or seem that you're not interested in the role. Ensure your background image is professional. Minimize distractions such as ceiling fans, distracting clutter, etc. You don't want people to be playing I Spy of the things that you have in the background, or possibly even consider a virtual background if your bandwidth or computer will support it. After the interview. The waiting period after a job interview can be one of the most stressful times. You've done everything in your power to hopefully land that role, and now it's out of your control. All you can do is wait and wait. So be patient and do things to keep yourself on track for success. Some tips include always email a tailored thank you note to the hiring manager, thanking them for their time. Do not call the hiring manager back immediately. Do not post anything about the interview on your social media. And do not keep replaying the interview over and over in your head. Do not do this. I wish I would have said this. I do not know why I said that. I had the perfect story that would have fantastically demonstrated my knowledge, skills, and abilities, but I forgot to mention it. Oh no, please do not do this. You'll just drive yourself nuts. So just jot it down and relax. You may be able to use that story on a follow-up interview, or possibly even better, display those wonderful abilities once you land that fabulous role. So, I have definitely enjoyed chatting with you and wanted to end with this quote. Remember, every interview is an opportunity to showcase your unique talents and capabilities. As you navigate your career journey, approach each interview with confidence, authenticity, and a genuine passion for what you do. You are the author of your own story, and with each interview, you are one step closer to achieving that dream. So embrace the challenges, seize the opportunities, and let your brilliance shine through. The world is waiting for your greatness, so go forth, crush those interviews, and make your mark on the world. Back to you, Melissa.
Thank you, Maya.
Those are some beautiful and inspiring words to live by, Kaniska. Thank you so very much for spending your time with us and talking about our interviews. I hope everybody got a wonderful overview of what you can do to survive and be successful. Thank you again.
Get down, let me get it.
So before we get on to the next session here, I see a lot of the frequently asked questions here, a lot of people asking questions. I just want to answer a few questions that may have popped up because I just want to make sure everybody gets the so important stuff. There's just so much going on right now. It's a lot to digest. So I just want to go over some of the questions that I'm seeing in the chat box that are popping up time and time again. So a lot of people are asking, what are the KSAs? What exactly are they looking for? Remember, the KSAs are knowledge, skills, and abilities. And those KSAs can be seen under the position's qualifications and requirements section. And for each requirement, you want to address that related experience to fulfill the requirements of the position. So I see a lot of people saying, can I put what I do for work duties in there? Can I use bullet points, that sort of thing?
Like right now.
As Tina suggested, you don't really get that many characters, so the more high level that you can be with your responses, the better. Another question that's being asked is, how do I address those KSAs sufficiently enough to get that interview, to get what Kaniska just talked about, right? Because your KSAs is only a small portion of landing a job with the Postal Service. So you want to keep your summary of accomplishments high level, as I mentioned, to address the position qualifications and requirements. Multiple KSAs can be addressed in one experience, remember. So you can combine those KSAs if they are relevant to the other qualification. Additional demonstrations of KSAs, they can be made in that special skills and associations, the work experience, your training, and the education sections of that application. So as I mentioned, if you want to write job duties, do that in that work experience section there, because again, you don't get that much space, and we don't want your application to be cut off when you send it in, because as Tina mentioned earlier, if you do not have that requirement, that could mean a 0 on that matrix, and that may completely knock you out of the standings altogether, even though you may be the best qualified for the job. So make sure that you are keeping that in mind. Also, what's the best way to answer a KSA? A lot of people are being told that they should use that STAR method, that situation, task, action, and results. Make sure that you address your related experience to fulfill all the requirements of the position. That situation and task, action, and results STAR method, it is, although it's a great broad way to start, it is not required. So keep that in mind that, you may want to write it as a STAR method, but it is not required. Okay. So I believe our next speaker is on, and so we are going to turn it back over.
Man, more speakers?
Yeah.
That shit is kind of long.
To Marvin Rainwater, who is our Director of Logistics Southern. And I do not see Marvin on yet, so I do apologize. And Rashonda, if you could just share your screen, I will go through the networking strategies with you all. Okay, wonderful. I do apologize for the technical difficulties there. So you all have me, again, Melissa Gogan, and I've already introduced myself to you all. So I'm going to go over networking strategies with you all here today. So networking is huge, okay? So let alone getting an interview, get alone writing your resume. Networking is probably one of the most important things that you can have in the Postal Service. I will tell you this much, I would not be where I am at today if I did not have that networking, that mentoring, people that I know that have helped me, that have fostered that relationship to help me move up that career path. I know I was in the same shoes as many of you are maybe right now, where you feel like, where do I begin? I don't even know who to talk to. I may not even know what my manager's name is. Here's the thing, we all have a voice. And if you are passionate about moving up that ladder and building your career, you need to use that voice of yours. Reach out to your manager, reach out to your supervisor, reach out to me, Melissa Gogan. I'm in that postal network. My name, my address is there. I will help you out if nobody else does. There's somebody out there in the Postal Service that is going to help you and move you up that ladder. I promise you, you're not alone, because somebody helped me and I love helping people. So you're never alone in the Postal Service. So we want you to know that networking, it's an interaction and an opportunity to share your story, your aspirations, and what you bring to the table. But effective networking, it's not a one-way street, right? It's a mutual dance of support and collaboration. And it's about identifying what you can offer others as well as what they can offer you, right? So whether it's gaining insights from a different department or tapping into a diverse perspective, networking opens doors to mutual growth and understanding. So how do you master the art of networking? Because it does, believe it or not, take practice. Because I don't know about you, but just getting in front of you all right now, it is very nerve-wracking. I'm nervous, and it's the same way if you want to go up to a leader, if you want to go up to maybe your postmaster, or let's say you see your district manager for your district. It can be very stressful walking up to somebody and just starting that networking conversation, right? So it starts with preparation, like everything else. It's practice, practice, practice makes perfect, correct? So you want to clarify what you want to convey to that person and what you also hope to learn from that person. It's about polishing your social and communication skills, of course, and listening intimately and asking thought-provoking questions and providing that genuine feedback. It's about follow-up, it's about commitment, and staying connected as well. So it's very easy to network with somebody, but don't lose that touch with them, right? You don't want to lose that balance. If you meet somebody that you're happy networking with, reach out to them a week later. Make sure you share contact, get their phone number, get their email. Don't just leave it at, it was nice to meet you. Reach out to them a week later and see. It's about keeping that open communication with them. The avenues for networking, they really are endless. From attending workshops, career conferences, even being on this virtual supervisor job fair is actually a networking event, right? I mean, you've heard from leaders, you've got these amazing people answering your questions in the background, you have a support system already. Believe it or not, you already have a support system. So let's not forget that power of informal connections as well, right? Leveraging referrals, introductions, recommendations from your peers, and exploring shared spaces like your local cafe, even if you're having lunch in the break room, right? It's a good chance to network with somebody. By following these steps, you're not just building that networking, but you're cultivating a vibrant community of support and growth for yourself and for others. So preparing for network, it does involve both a mental and practical preparation. And we're going to go over some of those steps that you can take to prepare yourself. So to truly harness the power of networking, it is essential to dig deep and uncover those unique aspects of your professional and even your personal journey. Take a moment for self-reflection. And actually, we're going to talk about self-reflection in the next section, which is just an amazing presentation. But you want to think about, where have you been? What pivotal moments have shaped your career path? What aspects of your work bring you the most joy and fulfillment? And maybe what about your job that you don't necessarily like, right? Because there are things about every job that we may not like. Think about your career passions and your aspirations and envision those steps needed to reach each of those. Remember though, it does not stop there. You want to elevate your introduction by highlighting your academic achievements, shedding light on your chosen major possibly, or specialization, and you want to drive that force forward. We actually have quite a people on this webinar right now that probably have these degrees. Maybe we even have a doctorate on the call right now, right? These are major things that we want to let the person know that we are networking with. You want to recall any transformation projects or training initiatives that you've been working as a part of, and weaving that into your narrative as well to showcase that relevancy to your career path. As Tina stated earlier, there are many amazing things that you probably have done, maybe not postal, maybe in your last prior job, right? That you could take to this position with the Postal Service. Don't underestimate that power of your experience. You want to shine that spotlight on past roles, whether it is postal or not. And whether it's through immersive learning courses or upcoming educational pursuits, illustrate how those endeavors have contributed to your skill set and your knowledge base. With a crystal clear goal in mind and a compelling self-introduction at your disposal, you're going to navigate the realm of networking with confidence and finesse while making meaningful connections that will last a lifetime. So I want you all just to picture for a moment, okay? You're stepping on an elevator and you realize the postmaster of an amazing office that's only, let's say, 5 minutes from your home has just opened up a supervisor position in eCareer, right? Mondays through Fridays, Saturday and Sunday off, your legitimate dream job, right? You only have moments to capture his or her attention on who you are and what you can bring to the table, right? So an elevator speech is that ticket to leaving that last impression. It's a concise yet compelling snapshot of your journey, your experiences, your education, and your passions as well, all wrapped up in a concise 30 to 45 minute second speech. So how do you make that lasting impression with this postmaster if you only have that 30 to 45 seconds so they can remember you should you actually score that interview with them for that dream job? So it all starts with that amazing introduction. So you want to share your name, your role, a glimpse into what drives your passion, and then you want to dive into the heart of your pitch, right? Painting a vivid picture of your professional attributes. And then you want to consider maybe putting some key little milestones in there, like key words, right? Those lasting impression words, and where you started professionally and where you are now. How maybe you're making a difference in your current role. And of course, most importantly, where do you aspire to go next, right? So I'm going to give you a little example to get you started on an elevator speech here. Hello, I'm Melissa. I have over 20 years in the Postal Service, and I am currently a dedicated career development coordinator and I have amazing passion for empowering others. With a background in diverse roles, from human resources and marketing and 10 years of being a manager experience, I polished those invaluable skills in leadership and innovation. Currently, right now, I'm focused on increasing awareness of developmental opportunities, and I'm even the project lead in organizing and executing our virtual supervisor job fairs. And our first fair attracted over 3,400 employees, helping them succeed in their careers as supervisors. So with my extensive background and unwavering commitment and a proud U.S. Navy veteran and former police officer, I'm ready to take on new challenges and drive meaningful change. So what do you say? Let's work together to unlock the full potential of our organization. So I bet you learned a lot about me in the last 40 seconds, right? You learned I'm a veteran. You learned I was a police officer. I have 10 years of management experience. I worked in marketing, human resources, and I even led the project for this virtual supervisor fair, right? Think about that. Am I somebody that you would want to work for you, right? I mean, I seem like I'm pretty engaging, I'm motivated, and I was able to share basically kind of my whole life work experience with you in a matter of 40 seconds. So that's what we want you to do. We want you to take a few seconds, practice, and make sure you're writing down everything so that when that time comes that that postmaster or that district manager is in that elevator with you, or maybe outside walking together and you have that kind of uncomfortable passing, that you're ready to go. So I mentioned already once, I'll mention it again and again, practice is going to make it perfect, and networking is absolutely no exception to that rule. Just like everything else in life, the networking is a skill that will improve with practice. So let's dive into that art of conversation, the cornerstone of effective networking, if you ask me. To start a conversation with somebody, you got to be ready to connect. And remember that your greeting sets the tone. Warmth and positivity, they're absolutely contagious. A negative attitude, it can honestly be a conversation killer. So research has shown that a simple smile and a hello can brighten anybody's day, right? You ever walk by somebody and just smile and just say hello to a stranger? It just does something to them, right? So as you extend that warm greeting, it's time to introduce yourself then. Share your name, your position, maybe a glimpse into how many years of service you have, and that sets the stone for your elevator speech to shine that we just talked about. Communication it's not just about the words, it's about nonverbal cues too, right? Make sure that you maintain that eye contact, you adopt that open posture, and use gestures to show interest and respect, right? And Kaniska mentioned it earlier, make sure that you dress to impress at all times, honestly. Even if it's your carrier outfit, I always made sure when I was a mail carrier for 6 years before I got into management, that my outfit was always clean, it was always fresh, I always had, even my sneakers were always like super clean and fresh, and you never know who you're going to meet across that line, right? So keep that in your mind. So now it's time to dive into that conversation. Start by showing that genuine curiosity about that other person. Ask about their role, their background, their experiences, and I promise you, they're going to appreciate the opportunity to share that insight with you. Just like our leaders did earlier this morning, probably loved sharing that insight with you all. Give them a reason to invest in you and make sure that you're showcasing your values, potential, and your curiosity. Everybody on this webinar brings something to the table. I promise you, everybody brings something. So finally, you want to close that conversation gracefully. You want to thank them for the time always and exchange that contact information and commit to that following up that I just mentioned earlier. Don't just leave it at, nice to meet you, oh God, that was it, they're never going to want to talk to me again. Make sure you follow up with them. By following those steps, you're going to navigate into networking with confidence and professionalism. All right, so some good networking questions that I want to share with you, because we're always asking, there's so many questions you can ask. What are the best ones to ask to get that attention of that person that you want to network with, right? So depending on the context and the purpose of the networking event, you could choose from different types of questions, such as, how'd you get your start in your field or your role? The amazing part about this question is that you may actually learn that that person was in the same shoes as you 10, 15 minutes ago. You want to look for that commonality, right? There's nothing more awesome than finding out that you jive with somebody, right? And another great question would be, what are some of the skills or competencies that you're looking for to develop or improve? Or how can I be of help or value to you and the organization? Right away, you're already showing that you're motivated, you're energized, you're ready to get things going, you're ready to deliver for America and help them reach that plan, right? These questions, they show interest and respect for the person that you are talking to. So make sure you take a little snapshot of this. And again, this recording is going to be available for you. These are all the questions that you are going to need to be able to network successfully. Keep in mind that you may not be the only one asking questions as well, so it is essential to make sure you're prepared to answer inquiries about yourself as well. So let's take a look at how you can leave a lasting impression, right? All right, so make sure you are prepared, okay? Know what you want to achieve and what information you're seeking for. Be targeted in the information that you present and that you receive. Make sure that you're professional, right? First impressions are a lasting impression. I don't know about you, but I can usually tell if I like somebody within literally the first few minutes of speaking to them. So make sure that that first impression carries over to your networking, okay? And make sure, keep in mind, keep your tone of voice at a nice pace. Don't use too much humor. Use a little humor, right? I mean, you want to keep it engaging. Share a story with that person. Find that common ground that you two connect with. Make sure that you're brief, all right? Everybody is super busy. Leadership is so busy these days. So you want to be very respectable of that person's time. So make sure, practice, your name, your current location, your current title, years of postal service. Make sure you have those down pat, okay? Make sure you're respecting everybody's time. You want to be clear, of course. Share your story, have a clear goal in mind for that networking conversation, know what you want to achieve and what information that you are seeking. And if you've met that executive or that person in the past, remind them of that common history and thank them for that interaction, of course. And of course, be genuine. This may be the most important piece of this at all. Authenticity is sometimes the only thing that you have, honestly. When you're first meeting somebody, they don't know who you are. Be yourself. Remember that networking is about building a relationship. It doesn't necessarily have to be so high level and so, I guess, stiff, if you will. You're forming a friendship with that person, hopefully, as well. Remember, you're having that conversation that establishes that meaningful relationship. You are your best representative, so make sure you are authentic. And of course, the following up, right? The following up, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's just as important as that initial networking, right? It's crucial because it shows persistence, it shows interest, it keeps you top of mind, right? So you don't want that person to forget about you. So why not just follow up with them and let them know just how passionate you are to just learn more and develop more. It will provide an opportunity for clarification. It'll build that relationship. And probably the most important piece is it will increase your chance of success. Now, how do you follow up, right? Okay, so an effective way of following up, this is done by a thank you message. It could be by email, it could be by telephone. After any networking interaction, I always tell people after you interact with somebody, let's say you just landed an interview, right? You always want to follow up with an email or a phone call. Thank them for their time. Reiterate who you are and what you bring to the table. If you maybe told them that you were a Navy veteran, maybe mention that again. You know, my years of service make me a reputable person. I'm responsible. I'm really dedicated. I'm just so looking forward to being on your team. It does show interest. It shows commitment through that action. And if you're applying for a position, it's even better because it keeps you top of mind. I say that so many times. The more persistent you are, the more people are going to know that you're just engaged. You are engaged to take on the world. And it really does set you apart, and it leaves a positive impression. Example, after you leave a networking event, you want to make it a priority to send a thank you message, as I said. So let's say after this virtual supervisor job fair, you get my email, you want to reach out to me and just say, thank you so much for following up with me. I heard that you were with career development, and I wanted to just maybe send my email with this email, or my resume, I'm sorry. Maybe you can take a look at it and just keep me in the back of your mind. I actually do have a degree with human resources, business administration, and I really think that I would be just such an amazing addition to your team, right? I'm going to remember that person. I truly am. And by following up with me and keeping in contact with me, honestly, it just shows me that you're just a dedicated employee. And I promise you, I will not forget your name. So let's talk about a few tips to remember to maximize that impact of your networking efforts so that you can build that strong and supportive professional network. Remember, first and foremost, networking is a two-way street. Most people genuinely enjoy offering the advice and being helpful. So don't let that intimidation hold you back, okay? You might be surprised to find that person that you were connecting with was once in your shoes, facing similar challenges and aspirations. If you go on the next slide, please. Oh, I think we lost the communication here. Give me 1 second. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. So just continuing on, as you expand your network, you want to remember that each interaction is an opportunity to give and receive the support. Networking opportunities, they exist every day. I don't care if you're just going in, you're casing letters at your case as your mail carrier, you're out on the workroom floor getting all of the paperwork, all of our mail, getting it ready to ship out into transportation, whether you're a clerk at the window, networking is always there. So don't ever forget that. You could be chatting with that leader in the elevator. You could be grabbing lunch in the cafeteria and you see that postmaster walk in, or if you're on that workroom floor, make sure you're seizing every moment to build that meaningful relationship. By nurturing those connections, you're not only strengthening your own network, but you're also creating that ripple effect of support and collaboration.
Mom, it still works. See, look.
So in summary, I want you all to remember that networking, it is a valuable skill that you can develop and improve throughout your entire life, but it does take practice. So don't be afraid. Don't be so hard on yourself if you haven't reached out to that person that you've been just dying to get a hold of, right? It does take time and it does take practice. It involves a two-way interaction where you're not only seek learning from others, but you're also there to offer that help and value as well. The people that you meet at networking events are eager to know more about you and your potential contributions to their department. Don't ever forget that. We're always looking for people, for dedicated and valuable people. Don't ever forget that you do have the valuable skills, experiences, and those areas of knowledge to share with those leaders. Remember the journey to building your career. Networking isn't just a skill, right? It's your passport to endless opportunities. By embracing the power of networking, you're not only opening doors for yourself, but you're also paving the way for others. So I want you to dare to connect, dare to learn, and dare to grow, okay? As you embark on that journey, always keep in your mind that networking is really your net worth, right? So go out there, expand your horizons, and let your connections ignite your path to success. So if you were afraid to talk to that postmaster or that district manager or that manager of distribution operations, tomorrow, Monday, is going to be your day to do it, right? Okay, so that is it for our networking strategies. I hope you all enjoyed it. And I am now going to turn it over to our next speaker, who is Rashonda Lewis, who is also my colleague. She is our Leadership Development Coordinator, and she's going to talk to you all today about owning your development. Rashonda?
Thank you, Melissa. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rashonda Lewis, and I am the Leadership Development Coordinator for the Succession and Internal Talent team. In my current role here at headquarters in Washington, D.C., my team and I manage the Postal Service's leadership development programs at the national level. These programs develop the future leaders of our organization. But before I started in this role several months ago, I was a bargaining unit employee, like many of you. I'm a Georgia native, and I began as a retail window clerk in 2017 in southern Georgia. Living in rural Georgia, there aren't many employment options, so I tried my luck with the Postal Service. As a clerk, I had daily interactions with customers at the retail counter, selling stamps, money orders, accepting packages, and a variety of other services. As a clerk, I found that I enjoyed problem solving, managing operations, and working as a team player. I constantly ask questions that pertain to the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. I love learning, so I quickly soaked up knowledge about postal operations. Before long, I was being shown how to run reports, how to manage staff, and how to execute on daily tasks, to name a few. This eventually led me to my current role. I'm really excited to be here with you today and to be part of an organization that is proud to say that over 90% of our workforce's promotions and next level positions are filled by internal postal employees. We've heard a lot of great executive speakers today whose careers began in entry-level positions throughout the Postal Service. How incredible is that? The opportunities to own your development and your career are endless. Be mindful that many of the opportunities throughout the organization may require you to potentially relocate. I left my small town to take my current position here in DC. You're probably asking yourself, where do I begin? Today, we've highlighted the frontline supervisor or frontline leadership opportunities as a typical career path within the organization. You've heard a lot of great information around the qualities and characteristics of the supervisor position that require skill sets in planning and analysis, professionalism and communication, operational management, and more. So now what? How can you determine areas where you need to develop for a frontline leadership role, and what resources are available to support you along the way? I'm going to answer these questions for you today so you can start owning your development. You can then feel confident and equipped when you're applying for those frontline leadership roles. You must take ownership of your personal and professional development to have the career you aspire to. In my personal journey, I did many of the things you see here. I networked with others. I took courses through the My Learning portal that I'll go over a little later. And I did a lot of self-reflection. I knew I couldn't wait for my next opportunity to simply be handed to me. I had to prove my ability to master tasks at hand. I have a tremendous respect for frontline supervisors because they must put on many hats throughout the day. Frontline supervisors work with both internal and external customers. I initially thought that my career would take the normal path, if you will, from being a clerk to a customer services supervisor and then to a postmaster. After detailing in an acting supervisor role myself, I stumbled upon the opportunity to become a training technician in 2022. There was a district-wide email looking for clerks with experience in delivering complex information, managing data, and having time management skills. These skill sets tied into my daily duties as both a retail window clerk and acting supervisor, so I decided to apply. Lucky for me, I got the job. I became the face of the Postal Service for new hires. I held orientation, I provided new employees with their ID cards, I entered training into my HR, you name it. In 2023, I moved into my current executive and administrative schedule role as a leadership development coordinator. So in just 6 years, I've been able to advance my career with the Postal Service by staying positive, looking for ways to learn and grow, and by constantly asking the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. One of the tools I like to introduce to you today is the self-reflection model known as the Driscoll's What model. This method will help you determine areas where you may need to develop for the role you would like to apply for. To get to the next level, each of us must do some self-reflection. In my personal career journey, I had to ask myself, what am I good at? Where can I improve? The Driscoll's What model helps you assess where you are going and how to get there. Let's take a moment to practice some self-reflection. I encourage all of you to pull out a piece of paper or pull up the Notes app on your phone, or you can simply follow along asking yourself the questions I'm going to show you in just a bit to kickstart your self-reflection journey right here and right now. We won't cover all the self-reflection questions that you see here, but I want to demonstrate how you can take 1 to 3 questions and transform them into actionable items to help you develop and reach your career goals. So I want you to ask yourself, what are you good at? What inspires you? Now, what have others told you that you're good at, whether that's here in the organization or outside the organization? Do you see where we're going here? These types of questions help to reflect on your strengths and the value you bring right now. They also help you demonstrate or determine areas where you have opportunities to learn and to grow your skill set. For me personally, I've always been told that I'm good with people, being able to relate, showing empathy, and giving direction. These traits help me figure out what my career will be geared toward, and that is essentially helping others and developing them in some way. Looking back at my postal career, I've always enjoyed doing those things, and it completely ties into my current role. I sit back now and reflect on how neat it is that I have a hand in developing the next leaders of the Postal Service. Now, as you're identifying what you're good at, ask yourself, so what? What do these strengths mean for you? For example, you may say you're good at determining and managing priorities in the work unit. So what? In this instance, having experience in managing work unit priorities is one of the key characteristics for entry-level supervisors. This is one of the competencies called operational management that entry-level supervisors should possess. It entails being able to perform daily tasks that ensure efficiency, being able to adjust accordingly to unforeseen situations, and making effective operational decisions. This example demonstrates how to determine if your strengths are a match for the position you're interested in. And this is the concept you should use. Determine if your strengths are a match for the position you want. In an earlier segment of the fair, our presenter showed you how to search and find supervisor positions in eCareer. Utilize this opportunity to review the job descriptions and responsibilities for careers that interest you. Reflect on your current strengths and skills. You may find that you already have transferable skills that apply to the position and some of the required qualifications. For instance, when I began to search for roles that were of interest to me, I noticed that many required the ability to collect and manipulate data using Microsoft Excel and being able to present data using Microsoft PowerPoint. I had a ton of experience using both programs for my prior work experiences, so I could demonstrate this. Then the question becomes again, so what? See where we're going here? So what? You're prepared to address the operational management qualifications on the job description. Now, what are you not prepared to address? Start assessing areas where you may need to develop by reading the job qualifications. Then you can become confident in developing those missing skills that will make you a sought-after candidate for the position. Let's say a developmental area for you is strengthening your communication skills. You can search for targeted ways to improve on this skill, such as taking classes or reading books. Additionally, another resource outside of reviewing the job qualifications are specific competency models tied to several functional and technical roles, as well as executive level leadership roles. Competencies describe the knowledge, skills, and abilities needed for successful job performance. Each model describes the attributes and behaviors required with increasing levels of proficiency. They are useful tools in helping you create a development plan. These models can help you identify your current proficiency and skill levels to determine whether further development is needed. You can locate competency models by going to My HR and typing in competency models in the search bar. Let's look at the supervisor competency model. One of the identified competencies for this role is communication skills, and this aligns with our earlier example of developing better communication skills. All competencies are broken down by scenarios to help you assess where your current proficiency lies. There are 3 growth categories where the scenarios help you determine your current proficiency: needs development, meets expectations, or exceeds expectations. For example, in column 2 here, meets expectations, you may find as you are reflecting that you meet expectations when it comes to your nonverbal communication, reinforcing your verbal messaging to others. But then you realize that from column 1, you need development when it comes to your technical writing skills. You think about ways to gain more targeted practice at being an effective writer. As you can see, this is a quick and easy way to assess your strengths and development opportunities related to the position. You can turn a weakness into a strength by reviewing the expectations of the position you want. Now that you've determined ways to really reflect on both your strengths and opportunities for growth, the question becomes, now what? Let's go back to the example where you've asked yourself, what are you good at? In our example, you've determined this to be operational management. You've asked the so what questions, and in doing so, you've determined the transferable skills you currently bring to the position and that you can address in your application. You've identified that you already possess some of the skill sets and experiences outlined in the required qualifications for the position. And lastly, you've determined that there are 1 to 3 competencies you still need development. So now what? What steps do you need to take to reach your goals and develop effectively? Earlier, we discussed communication skills being an area that needs improvement based on what we saw in the supervisor competency model, specifically written communications. So what does achieving proficiency in this area look like for you? How do you want to improve your communication skills in the next 2 to 6 months from now? Maybe you work toward improving your communication, particularly the ability to write correspondence that is clear and concise from the supervisor competency model. You work toward improving this ability so that it moves to the meet expectation category of the competency model. Now, you need to identify what's available to develop towards this objective. The organization is here to provide some of those resources to support your development. The organization has invested in over 120,000 learning resources available to all employees for free. You can voluntarily learn, grow, develop, and enhance your skill sets at no cost to you. The organization offers over 23 ways to learn, and this includes certification preparation. I recently earned my Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt certification, and I took online classes to help me prepare for it. There were even textbooks available online to help me prepare. You can prepare for some of the most well-known certifications, such as Six Sigma or the Society for Human Resources Management, also known as SHRM, by utilizing certification courses and other materials provided by the organization. As non-bargaining employees, when you enter that supervisor position or executive administrative schedule position, it opens the road to even more learning resources, including over 1,000 curated learning channels for curriculum-based learning. There are over 500 plus skill benchmark assessments for employees to gauge their current proficiency towards a skill set. This benchmark tool will provide you with recommended courses, books, and other materials that can support your development in that specific area. And lastly, there are over 100 Aspire Journey learning paths, which are learning tracks specifically tailored to develop your skills in various job areas, all of which are perfect as you are working to develop your plan of action to focus on desired skill set.
You know what I'm saying?
These types of self-development courses are voluntary and not usually a part of your current job. This is why they are completed off the clock, outside of your regular working hours, and are non-compensable. I'm going to paint the screen and walk you through how to access, search, and filter these resources to best suit your developmental needs. As we talked about, the light blue site is what many of you have access to be able to search for job opportunities. And you'll also be able to search for a lot of the learning activities I just talked about. So I'm going to walk you through how to get there. This is your light blue screen you're familiar with from your phone or postal computer. You just simply want to type in your password. And remember, it will also send you a 6-digit verification code, depending on how you set up your profile. So I'm getting mine now. I'm going to type it in. And then once we log in, this is the screen you'll see. You want to go right here to where it says My HR. As we spoke about earlier in the fair, My HR is the new